Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the TRE podcast. We have a really, really incredible guest coming on the show today. We got Alicia in the actual studio. Alicia, thanks for coming on.
Woohoo! Thanks for having me, Matt.
I'm excited. Growth for Girlies has been just flying off the shelf on Instagram. And to have you in the studio to have a conversation around all the amazing content that you're doing, I'm excited to dive in. Now, before I always get into the nitty gritty, I like to ask my guests, do you have an intention for today's episode? Something you want the listeners to take away, what you want them to learn, or even just what you want to bring forth in this episode?
Right. So before you listen to this episode, I really want you to think about what you want to take away from this episode and keep bringing that to your forefront. Every time you hear something that might resonate or something that doesn't resonate, I want you to remember why you clicked on this episode and what you'd like to get out of it as well. So don't forget why you're here.
Yeah, keep that open mind, right?
Yeah.
Love it. Now, to lay the land for our listeners right now, we're all about attracting our dream life by building a self-concept. I think this is really, really huge because a lot of us maybe don't know what a self-concept is. We outsource our self-concept, and just not having an understanding doesn't allow us to step into that dream life. So before we get into all these great details, I want to say Alicia actually has her own standalone program within the Revive Academy. And the real one-liner here is it's a step-by-step formula to rewrite your belief systems to manifest grand shifts in your appearance, your personal finance, romantic relationships, and career. It's a fantastic program. So Alicia, thank you for putting that together for us. And Alicia lives by these philosophies. So not only does she teach this, her life has had such monumental shifts in the last little bit too, so it's a true testament. So check that out in the show notes and go take Alicia's program within the TRA. Now, to dive into the nitty gritty, building the self-concept is huge, but the first step to getting into that self-concept is getting out of a funk. People think they're not motivated, they're not driven, they don't have all these healthy habits, and they can't take action. Now, that's the first step. So I want to know when you're feeling energetically low, when you're feeling in a funk, like how do you step out of that and into alignment with where you want to go?
That's a great question. And this is something that I revisit on a monthly basis just to make sure I'm in check. So whenever I feel like I'm not at my best, or I feel like I'm in a funk, not feeling the best, or I feel like my life can be better, I really intentionally will sit myself down and go through different areas of my life. So I'll look at, okay, my relationships, how are those going for me? How do I feel about those? Or my career, how do I feel about my career right now? Like, am I putting something off within my career that, is really bugging me and making me feel anxious? My fitness is another huge value of mine. Am I ignoring my fitness or my health? Things like that. My sleep especially is a big one. So things that I really actually do care about and my values, truly, I go through them. I look at which ones I am ignoring and not putting attention into. And then I will come up with a sort of a plan in order to get myself back into it.
Yeah. So awareness is the first step there. Understand where your problem is.
Exactly.
I think that's huge because I look at sometimes when I used to work with past clients, when they say, I had a really bad week this week. I don't know what was going on. I let them do what I call a body scan. So I say, how many hours did you sleep? And even if you did sleep well, how did you feel when you woke up? Simple questions like that bring awareness to, I actually slept like shit this last little week. No wonder I feel so irritable and tired. It allows you to take action and actually put your focus on something that's going to really move the needle rather than looking for everything else or any kind of distraction that you think is going to get you there, right?
Exactly. And we're so stuck in our minds all the time, especially us, especially people that, the people that are probably listening to this right now. It's so easy to get stuck in your mind. It's so easy to get stuck into things that don't truly matter, that don't really relate to your goals and your dreams. So things like this are super important to come back to and reflect on.
What do you mean when you're stuck in your own mind or you're focusing on things that don't actually align with your values?
Kind of just going on autopilot, right? So you wake up, you go to your job, you come home, you watch TV, right? So if I value health and wellness and I'm not going to the gym every single day, or if I'm not eating healthy, I'm not cooking meals, I'm just eating whatever I can find in the house, that is going to have a direct correlation to my level of happiness. And that is going to have a direct correlation to whether or not I'm going to be in a funk, right? Because everything comes down to our values. So even if before your life audit, if you don't know your values, if you don't have them in check, I would 1,000% recommend get your values sorted, figure out what you value, what you care about. And to do this, you can look up a list of 100 values. It's so quick and easy to find them, figure out what you actually care about, and then base your behaviors in your day-to-day off of those.
And that's where you feel really alive, right?
Yeah.
You live in alignment with your values. That's so huge because I look at even the days where I feel kind of down in the dumps and there's a really big disconnect in how I spent my day versus what I actually value. For me, I value health, I value community, and I value fun. And sometimes if I'm just, because I work remote, a lot of us work remote now. I go out, I just spent 8 hours in my room alone. No wonder I feel so down bad. I didn't talk to anyone, therefore I didn't align with community. Maybe I didn't go to the gym that morning because I was tired. I didn't act in alignment with my health. And then I didn't have any fun. Sometimes work's not that fun. So imagine if you were to just do small things within your day to align with that, how much better you'd feel.
1,000%, 100%.
So, okay, we talked about this funk. Now, let's get into the self-concept because you can't step into this building the self-concept if you're in that funk. So let's say we've overcame that and now we're ready to start building. We're ready to attract our dream life. Everyone always says you need to focus on yourself and that's it. But we don't ever talk about what that means to work on yourself. So just lay the land for us. What is a self-concept? Why does it matter for us and for the listeners right now?
Right. So a self-concept is the relationship you have with yourself. And that is the number one relationship that you're going to have in your entire life. More than your mom, your family, your spouse, you and yourself, your relationship with yourself is number one. Right? So with that, I want everyone to remember that, okay, if I am the most important person to me, and let's say, like, for example, I promised myself something. I'm like, yo, after work, I'm going to go to the gym. It's going to be great, whatever. Then after work, you get home, you sit on the couch, right? You don't go. That's you breaking a promise to the most important person to you, right? So that's you diminishing your self-concept and your self-respect, and therefore your relationship with yourself. Because what if you told your spouse, for example, hey, like, we're going to go for dinner tonight. It's on me. We're going to have a cute little date night. And then you get home, you're like, yo, I don't really care about the date night. Like, let's just chill. That's going to make them feel so upset, right? That's going to show them that you don't really care about them. So it's the same thing with yourself. You kind of have to look at yourself like a full separate person. Like, I kind of have like a vision of myself here and then a whole separate version of me that I look at, and I keep her accountable as well.
Yeah. Well, that even kind of ties into why we feel guilty when we break promises for ourselves. Like, oh, we go off the diet or we skip the gym. Like, that feeling that your spouse would have had when you broke that promise, it's the same thing. My whole life's kind of making sense right now as we talk about this, Alicia. So let's give some concrete examples here. Like, let's say somebody who doesn't have a strong self-concept. If they're listening right now, how will they know if their self-concept isn't strong?
Yeah. Like, how do you feel about yourself, right? How do you feel about your physical appearance, right? How do you feel about your life right now? How is your career? Do you love it? Are you happy? Right? Kind of answering these general main questions. Like, do you enjoy your life? Do you like what you're doing? Do you like the people around you? What do you wish to have? Are you aligned with your dreams? Kind of questions like this to kind of put us in the right direction and on the right path. So it's basically, again, it's like a life audit and seeing if you are on the right path that you were put here to be on.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for you with Growth for Girlies, we've had this conversation before too. Like you say, I'm just so in alignment with the content, with the work that I'm doing, with the people I'm serving. And you say that's one of the biggest reasons that your growth is so monumental. So I want to know what Alicia's self-concept in life was like before you stepped into the confidence, the power, and the charisma that you have now. Like, what was that before and after, and how did you get from A to B?
Right.
Deep question, I know.
No, great question.
Yeah.
I love it. You know, people usually think that someone who's super successful had to go through a really hard time to get there. Right. But myself, I am so like lucky enough to have such a beautiful, amazing family that really, really like cushioned and supported me throughout my whole life. So I have naturally had a strong self-concept since birth. Wow. Because I have been so like deeply loved by my mom and my two older sisters. And they've instilled all these positive affirmations and these positive thoughts into me that I just got to tweak as I grew older as an adult. I didn't really have to, like, I have had to work through certain things, of course, as everyone has, but I feel like I've always had it, which I'm super blessed about. And I really do feel like it's something that I need to bring to surface in a lot of people. Yeah,
for sure. Well, it's like a snowball effect, right? It's everything we do is learned, especially from a young age. So to have that advantage, that's awesome. That is really awesome. Yeah. So even were there times though, like say high school, it's a hard time for everybody. Like were you ever in this insecure state, whether it was not even just romantic relationships, but just in general, where you felt, I don't feel in my power right now? Maybe you had a great upbringing, but you just don't feel confident. You don't feel self-assured. did you ever have moments like that? And how did you get out of that from then to now?
Good question. I have myself personally, my biggest growth journey had to be through romantic relationships. Like that's me, that's my biggest thing. And I guess that's why some of my content does relate to that. So what I had to learn, of course, every romantic partner comes to you to teach you a lesson. And if you don't learn the lesson, then they're going to show up in another body.
Yeah, every time. Yeah.
Right. Until you learn the lesson.
Yeah.
Or else it's the same thing over and over. So what did I do to get over it? There's a lot of things you can do. You pretty much have to change your belief system, right? So you can change your belief system through doing overnight affirmations, which is something that I absolutely rave about. Like if I can get anyone to do anything ever to change their entire life, that's so easy. Just do some overnight affirmations. Okay. So those are just affirmations that play overnight while you're asleep. And that's it. Like they reprogram your belief system, and it takes a much faster amount of time. Like it doesn't take as slow as, for example, controversial, but like, which is still important, but going to therapy, right? Which will take a few years usually. So this is in addition to therapy. Not that I'm a licensed therapist. However, I am a behavior analyst, so I can change human behavior. I got that.
Okay.
Those are just super, super helpful. Along with shadow work, of course, like working on, like looking at why you feel this way, looking at your childhood patterns, looking at your past relationships, looking at how your parents talk, how your parents view relationships. And you know what? Another really great thing that I really realized was speaking to my mom, or speaking to your parents, like really talking to them and really asking them like, hey, like, what do you think about me buying this $2,000 purse? And then seeing her reaction to that through like a lack state in money, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Or Mom, I'm dating someone new. What do you think? And then her first reaction may be, yo, you got to be careful. Like men lie or something like that, right? So seeing how they react when you say something, that is most likely your core belief about that topic.
That's so true. And you actually talk about that in the program at Revive. It's the people around you, from parents to friends, and people don't know this, they influence your belief systems at such a subconscious level, and you just adopt it. You don't stop it in its tracks and think, does this align with me? Do I agree with this? We just adopt and say, it is what it is. So a great example with the relationship. Let's go with the relationships.
Yeah.
Say, oh yeah, men are not to be trusted. You got to watch out for that. When you're young and you hear that, you're going to carry that belief system into every relationship, and you wonder why you have trust issues. But having that conversation, bringing that awareness to it, that's the first step to overcoming that, changing that belief system, and then stepping in to a more confident version. Because now when you're into a relationship, you're not on guard because you can't trust. You're in a more receptive, open state because you've broken that belief system, right?
Yeah, exactly. You got it.
So let's talk about community then, because that's huge. Have you ever been in a community that brought you down, or maybe didn't give you the belief systems and structure that you needed? I know you had a great upbringing, like you said, but let's say friends, for example. Have you maintained a lot of the same friendships when you were young? Oh, shaking her head no, right from the get-go. Yo, dive into that.
Oh man.
Dive into that.
All right, let's go. Have I maintained the same relationships? Okay, well, yes. Like I have a few best friends that I have had since I was 3 years old. So I have those guys said and done. Like those guys have been my ride or dies for sure. But I find with myself specifically, every 4 years, I'll lose like a deep connection with a friend. So that's just something about me. Like in grade 8, I remember I lost like a very best friend. Grade 12, I lost a best friend. The 4th year of uni. So every 4 years, I noticed something like that happens. And then I had to realize like, okay, what pattern have I been noticing in each of these friends that I keep losing after these 4 years? And then I realized that all the friends had one thing in common, which was talking mad shit. Like that was the way we made friends. That was the way we built a connection. And all throughout it, I felt really like uneasy during it, but I just did it just so I can like keep the friend, for example. Right. So I guess what I learned from that was more self-concept. Like, how do I want to be talking to people? Like, how do I want to be talking about people? And it's not in a negative way at all. Like, I don't feel good doing that at all. So that's kind of the lesson I learned from those friendships throughout was, yo, like, if you don't feel good doing something, don't do it just because other people are doing it. Like, step into yourself, feel your energy, and stay true to yourself. And again comes down to the self-concept.
Yeah, huge. Well, even you're saying not only your belief systems influence, like your actions, your behaviors, they're influenced because you're now buying in to that exact same energy, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to add on to that just because we've been cultivating a really big entrepreneur group lately, and shout out to all the boys. They're fantastic. And I looked at some of the conversations that we have a lot of the times when we're together or when we're co-working, and I look back to when I was younger and maybe more in my high school era around those same friends that I had. No disrespect to anybody back then, but the conversations were a lot more negative, pessimistic, mean to other people. But now with all the guys that maybe they're a little more on their path, they have a stronger self-concept themselves. It's all love. It's much more bigger, more visionary talks that we're having. And you can see how when I'm in both of those different scenarios, I'm an entirely different person. Mm-hmm. But the really crazy thing is if I go back to those friend groups or even some of those people that I had in the past, the same belief systems come up. I have those same feelings of maybe insecurity that I did growing up because that's what I associate with them. And those are the conversations we talk about. So you got to look at how your group is, again, influencing and teaching you how to act, because it can make a world of a difference without you knowing.
1,000%, 1,000%. Like the top 5 people that you hang out with is you, is who you are.
Yeah, it's so cliche, but it's so true, right?
100%. Whatever's around you, like your entire environment is who you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing though, when people say, "Oh, I'm in such a bad family," or "I'm in this bad group of friends, like there's just nothing I could do. Oh, poor me." Mm-hmm. It's not like that. When you understand that you can change your belief systems or you can change your environment, like that is so huge. And I'm gonna get a little sciencey here now on this topic of neuroplasticity. I'm sure you're familiar with this term. So when we say, "Oh, all men cheat," or "I can never lose weight," or like all these limiting beliefs, that's a program that you run in your head. And because you've ran it for so long, it's just going to run automatically. But with neuroplasticity in this field of neuroscience, they show you can rewire your brain from those negative ones into more positive ones. Mm-hmm. So in science, without sciencey terms, you have the power to program your brain in the exact way you want. What's your opinion on this right now?
1,000%. Yeah. No, you like see me nodding. I'm excited.
yeah. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
No, I like that. No, 1,000%. Like it's whatever you give attention to in your brain and in your thoughts is what's going to grow, right? So if you keep thinking like, oh, these negative thoughts like over and over and over, you're just reinforcing that neural pathway, right? So it's just going to keep getting reinforced. But every time it comes up, if you just force yourself to ignore it or force yourself to think of a new thought, you will put that neural pathway to sleep. Like you got to put it in bed, you got to put it to sleep. And then it will eventually, again, like disintegrate. Not disintegrate, but it will.
It won't run as fast in autopilot, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It'll fade out, which is beautiful.
I like how you said they'll put it to bed.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember the one time we were out getting drinks that one night. And the one thing I do admire about you is you are very aligned with what you teach. So you will live by what you teach. I don't know if you caught this, but I made an offhanded comment about women one time. It was a limiting belief. I was like, women are just kind of flaky.
Yeah.
And you said, like right in the middle of the bar, you're like, you don't say that. That's a limiting belief. And I was like, damn, you're right. That is a limiting belief.
Yeah.
So what was really powerful for me in that case and how it relates to today with affirmations and changing that brain state is what I like to call conscious versus subconscious inputs. So when you're thinking about those negative things that come up, a conscious input is stopping it in its tracks, changing it in the moment, and then that's what's going to rewire it. Because when I started doing affirmations at the beginning of, let's say, my health journey or whatever you want to call it, to change my brain state, it wasn't really working. I would say it in the morning, I would go about my day, but I would be like, why am I still not confident? Why am I still not in my own power? Mm-hmm. And it was because you would say it for 5 minutes, and then the rest of your day, you're running that script on autopilot, not catching it in its tracks. Mm-hmm. So yes, it's important to do those morning and night affirmations, but when you're going throughout your day, whenever something does come up, it's your job to catch it in the act, spin it, and turn it into something more positive. It's a whole day excursion.
It is. However, there are so many ways that you can make that a lot easier, right? So that sounds very difficult, but it sounds very effective, okay. Right? So if I'm going throughout my day, I'm taking the bus or I'm driving somewhere, whatever, like it's not gonna be the first thing that I think of, like to switch my belief system. Because again, we're on autopilot, right? So it's very, like you said, it's very conscious, but in a positive light, there are so many ways to change that, right? So something that I do within my environment, because I work from home and I'm in my home a lot of the time, is that I
Why are you laughing?
I would be like, I plaster affirmations, but I do. I have affirmations all over my room, my home, my kitchen. Like if you walk in, you will probably see 15 affirmations right off the bat before you take your shoes off. And that's how strong that is. And a lot of them are repeated over and over and over, right? So that's within my home. But another way, like if you don't work from home, is set alarms on your phone, turn off the ringer, turn off the vibration, but set alarms, but change them to affirmations and put those 5, 6, 7, however many times you want a day. So for me, I have like 5 alarms that go off throughout the day at certain times. So whenever I pick up my phone, I have to read this affirmation that shows up, right? So there's ways to hack our environment and our system so we don't have to be using our brain to be changing our belief systems, because that's exhausting.
Whoa, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just infuse it into your environment.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of relates because I went to school for marketing, and they say the creme de la creme for marketing is just repetition. Mm-hmm. The more you see an ad, the more likely you are to buy. So true testament to what you're saying, the more times you see that reminder, the stronger the belief is going to be.
Exactly.
So let's talk about where you said you plaster everything all over your walls, your screensavers, you tattoo it on your cheek, like the whole 9 yards. I'm playing devil's advocate here. Wouldn't people say that's excessive and unnecessary? What's your opinion?
Do you want change or not?
Do you want change or not?
Do you care? Like if you don't, then don't do it. How serious are you?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I guess let's say when it's not top of mind though, that's easier when it's much easier to slip away from those belief systems, right? Because it just kind of tucks themselves away.
1,000%.
Yeah.
You need constant exposure to things in order to like sit with them, like because you're always absorbing things anyways. So if I didn't see those things, I would see nothing, like because there would be nothing on my mirror. Right. In the mornings, another thing I do is so I can see my TV from my workstation. So I'm working for 8 hours at my desk, and then I have a view of my TV. So I will play overnight affirmation videos, turn off the volume, but then turn on captions. So every time I look over at my TV, I'll just read a random affirmation.
You hack everything, eh?
Everything, yeah. I'm a behavior analyst.
This is true. Yeah. Wow, I wouldn't even thought of that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's quickly touch on overnight affirmations. I don't think it got the deep dive it deserved here. Why do those work so much better than regular affirmations? I'm very curious because you advocate for everybody. Like everybody in my friend group's like, yo, Alicia says I got to do overnight affirmations. What's the secret here? What's the creme de la creme?
1,000%. Well, when you're asleep, you go through different states. I'm sure you know a little bit more about this, but you go through different states, like your alpha, beta, and then you hit a theta state, right? So when you're in this theta state, your mind is so open and receptive to new information. So whenever you're in this state, you don't have your conscious mind going. You don't have your current belief systems going and in full force. So whenever you're in this state, you can completely rewire any belief system that you have going if you have it playing in the background. So basically, like when you're asleep, these affirmations are playing, right? So when you're in this state, then it's just being absorbed like at a much faster rate with no resistance. Because the daily affirmations are cool, like whatever. I do affirmations in the morning. Obviously, I said I have them all over my house, which is amazing. But then you're still battling your conscious belief systems while you're going through them, while you're reading them, because you're reading them and your brain's like, nah, until it eventually gets there. But this is just a quicker hack to get through it.
Yeah, that's so true. You're tapping into that subconscious brain. That's actually really crazy because I had a breathwork practitioner on the show not too long ago, and I actually went to do one of her breathwork meditations or workshops. What was really cool is at the end of the breathwork, the whole thing, she ended with affirmations. But when I finished the breathwork and just before we jumped into the affirmations, I was very zen. I wasn't asleep. I wasn't conscious. I just knew I was in this very meditative state. And then that's when she did the affirmations. And I asked her afterwards, I go, why did you do it at the end? She goes, because your brain was in a very subconscious receptive state. Whatever I was going to say in that time is going to be very well absorbed. I go, oh, what else did you say? Like, what did you program? But again, it was very loving things. It was very positive things. So it's cool to see that you're doing it while you're sleeping. And this other woman was doing it during the same brainwave, but consciously, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I want to know here then is, when did you discover overnight affirmations? Like, how far into your journey? Because we're always told to just do affirmations. Mm-hmm. This is a new topic for me and a lot of people. When did you discover it?
Honestly, probably like 2 years ago. Yeah, I really religiously have been practicing overnight affirmations every single night, even if I'm on vacation, even if I take a nap, like they are being played. So yeah, 2 years ago, I discovered them through a YouTuber actually.
Wow.
Yeah, who's in school for med school.
So you've been doing it for 2 years. Now because you said the subconscious adopts it much faster. How much faster did you find things in your life started to manifest materially? Instant. Just like that.
So quick, so fast.
Wow.
Truly. And like at the time I was working on like anxious attachment affirmations, which were huge for me at the time. Now I'm chilling.
I'm chilling.
Yeah, now I'm good. Thank you, affirmations.
Yeah.
But at the time I needed them because of the relationship I was in. So like honestly, truly, I started doing them maybe 2 weeks later, instant shifts. Wow. In my relationship, instant shifts in the person I was with, instant shifts in myself, but everything changed so quickly. So I was like, yo, if this is happening with something that I have such a deep rooted belief about, like what else can I do this with? So then I started doing them on feminine energy, which has obviously been like very amazing and beautiful to encompass. And then another thing, of course, like finances is a really great one. Gratitude and abundance and love is another great one. So you kind of just like go through them, and then once you feel pretty good with a set, then you start another set, and then you hack your entire life.
One thing I pulled out from what you just said there, I want to go back again to the relationship where you said you were in that anxious energy and you were using affirmations to change that. When you change your internal, though, from your mind to your body, your external will change as well, which is a really big component. So let's say somebody's doing it for relationships, they're doing it for business, they're doing it for career, they're doing it for friends, they're doing all this internal work. And then their external reality shifts. Sometimes the old self is going to have to shed to step into the new self. So let's say you might not be aligned with your partner anymore. You might not be aligned with your job anymore. How do you navigate that where you're going, my life feels like it's falling apart, but it may actually be for the better? Where's your head at for that?
You got to take it one step at a time. Like that's, I guess that's a disclaimer. Like, you're going to have to go through the hard stuff to get to the good stuff, right? Life comes in waves and energy comes in waves, right? So when you go through a very difficult time, you're going to have to go through a very positive time right after that. But how do you navigate that? Like, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. You can journal if that'll help you. You can talk to a friend, talk to a therapist. But definitely, I would say don't ignore what's going on. Like, if you have big emotions, like, take care of them and look after them, right? Like, think of yourself as like 7-year-old you that was going through all that stuff with your parents, for example. Like that 7-year-old girl needs your attention, or boy needs your attention right now, and your love right now, and they need you to listen to them right now. So it's the same situation, right? So when you're feeling big emotions, it's something that came up from your childhood, and then just like be with them, like journal. What I honestly do, I will set up my camera and I'll just talk. Because it's faster. Like I'd prefer to talk than write something out. Yeah. So there's so many ways to just express, and then it'll help out.
Wow, incredible,
yeah.
Incredible. Now let's talk about the fact that we've done all this work. We understand how to take these actions. We understand how to do these affirmations. Now let's get into when you're aligning with this new version of you. All these things that you want, we can put a lot of energy towards it. We can put a lot of focus towards it, but that might be the very reason we don't get it. Right? Because it's a simple law of detachment. And you talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
So just before we dive into all these great things about the law of detachment, what is that? And why do we need to be aware of it?
Of course. It's detaching from the outcome. It's knowing that like you are whole and complete with or without that outcome. Like you don't need that outcome to be the best version of you. Right? It would be nice. So kind of the mantra is, wouldn't it be nice if...
From the song, right?
Yeah. Or yeah.
Oh, no, you weren't even doing that.
We can do both. We can do both. I guess I kind of sang it. Yeah. So kind of, wouldn't it be nice if I was in a loving relationship, right? Wouldn't it be nice if I had a 6-pack abs? Or, wouldn't it be nice if I had my dream career? So that's kind of like a way to play with it and detach from it as well.
Okay. So my follow-up to that would be, I'm a big advocate for that. Don't get me wrong. But there's been times where I go, I'm so clinging to this outcome. Or there's been times where I've been totally dismissive and almost distracting from it, which I feel is very different than detaching. So where's that fine line, even in your opinion or with you in your own life, between detachment and being dismissive or ignorant? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, being aware of what's happening, right? Being aware of why it's happening, what's happening, how you're feeling, right? So throughout all this whole journey, I'm not saying to ignore your emotions. Like I'm saying, be right there with them, like hold their hand throughout this whole thing, give them cuddles when they need it, like be there with yourself throughout the whole thing. And that is definitely the difference between detachment and dismissive, because dismissive is ignoring. Dismissive is, oh, I'm going to go out with the boys, I'm going to get drunk because I don't want to think about the girl. Yeah.
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
You didn't process anything.
Exactly.
Or you didn't accept anything at the same time. Is that what I'm kind of hearing you say?
Exactly. You're just pushing it down, right? You're not bringing it up. You're not playing with it. You're not working with it. You're not giving it attention. You're not holding its hand, right? You're like, go away, get out of here. Ignore. And that's how you build up. That's how you build up negative energy within you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would also even say that that's a very weak self-concept then. If you can't face the negativity or you can't face that uncomfortability, I don't feel you're very rooted in your confidence or in your own self. As hard as that is to hear, if you're getting triggered hearing that, like that's probably a sign that's something that you do. I used to be that way for the longest time. I'm guilty of it. Mm-hmm. But again, through internal work, you're doing the work. It's much easier to face. I lied. I wouldn't say it's easier, but it's much more manageable. That's the word I'll use there. Right?
Exactly. It's just being vulnerable, being authentic, like giving yourself the time of day to just kind of be like, yo, I know it's lame to pay attention to my emotions. I know it's lame to feel heartache, but this is just, I'm going to do myself this favor and kind of dive into it for a second.
Process it.
Yeah.
Okay, so for Alicia, let's take it in the realm of fitness now, because I know that's a big pillar for you too. Yeah. Let's say even at the beginning when you started working out, how did you detach from getting that ideal body that you wanted? How did you not cling to it? Because I know body image is a big thing for a lot of women. Body dysmorphia is a big thing. So we can really cling to our appearance, the pictures we take, how we look at the gym. Like, how do you not attach so clingy to that outcome that you wanted?
Right. Yeah. So fitness for me is not outcome based. It's lifestyle based. Right. It's part of my life. It's what I do. Yeah. It's what I do. I wake up, I go to the gym. Like that's just Alicia's morning routine, period. That's it. So it's more, I don't really have a big goal in mind. Like, of course, like here and there, like, okay, I'll do a cut, I'll do a bulk, whatever, I'll change my diet, I'll try a new recipe, but it's more, again, like more detachment based. Like it's more like a playful approach, right? I'm kind of playing around with it. I'm kind of experimenting with it. Like it's not an end all be all, to have that like dream physique, because there's no dream physique. Like once you get there, then it'll die away if you don't keep giving it attention, right? Or once you get there, you're like, nah, it could be better, right? So the key with everything in life is just being super content with where you are now, being super blessed. Like I'm sure you hear me say that, but like it's always like, yo, Alicia, how are you? Yo, I'm so fucking blessed.
I'm so good.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Yeah, that's it. You do the same thing too.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like it's gratitude.
Huge.
That's it.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna even tack on to that. The fact that you said it's lifestyle based.
Yeah.
That in and of itself is incredible. But where I've personally found that I'm able to detach the most is when I've really shifted towards being internally validated versus externally validated. So I'll give people the lay of the land here, just to give you some concrete examples. I would always outsource let's say I would post a shirtless picture at the gym for my progress. That's me being externally validated. I want people to comment. I want people to like. I want people to say, I'm doing a great job. Now, because I'm more rooted in my own self-concept, I'm more internally validated. I'll post that picture to be like, yo, damn, like I worked hard. Good for me. Whether I get that negativity or praise, it doesn't shake me as much because the only opinion that matters is me. I'm the one that got me to the gym. I'm the one that lifted the weights. I'm the one that ate well. I'm the one that did all these habits. Nobody else did. So why is their opinion going to matter? My opinion matters because I'm the one that put the reps in. I'm the one that put the work in. And having that in the back of your mind, like, it's so freeing. It's so freeing. So it allows you to also detach from that outcome, because now I'm not posting that shirtless picture needing that attention, or I'm not trying to get into the gym to get a certain physique or a certain size so people can then validate me. It's like, I'm going to work out. I'm going to feel good. I think I look good. That's it. End of story. Done. So how do you internally validate yourself, though? I'm curious.
I love that. That was so nice to hear. I'm happy about that.
Thank you.
How do I, again, it's just your relationship with yourself. Like I see myself, me, of course, but then I also kind of like envision a second version of myself. So it's a relationship with me. It's who I am. Right. So I don't even know how to.
I know what you mean though. I know what you mean. But let me ask you a follow up on that, because of the relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are hyper distracted from their true selves or from their true thoughts. And it might be scary for someone to dive into that or to process that. to get to the other side of that powerful self-concept. So what would your advice be to someone who thinks they can't be alone with themselves, have that relationship with themselves, or even just talk internally about that stuff?
Someone that's like just really, really having a hard time with it.
Yeah.
Go for a walk.
Go for a walk.
Go for a walk.
And pick at that a little bit. What do you mean? Yeah.
Do something by yourself outside of your house. Do something that's not your phone. Like get off your phone. Like go for a little walk. You can bring your phone, whatever. You can put your headphones in, you can listen to music, but that's just a little tiny step you can do that detaches you from kind of that spiral that you're in, right? You're going to get your fresh air, you're going to get your little bit of exercise, and you're going to have that time with yourself. You're going to be able to experience motion like as a human being that gets to walk through the earth.
So it's even having awareness through that too. It's not just taking a walk and then being Spacey Jane as you're walking through the streets, right?
Yeah. And if you need to do that in the beginning, do it. Like it's fine. But it's basically just, you need to disrupt your routine. That's it. Because you're stuck. You're stuck in a loop. It's a behavior pattern. It's a behavior loop, habit loop, right? So you got to disrupt it by adding something or removing something or replacing something.
Yeah. That's interesting. What do you mean by replacing something? Give me an example.
Like a replacement behavior. So an example could be, for example, if I scroll on my phone. So I work, I come home, I sit on the couch, I scroll on my phone, I watch TV. Okay. How can I disrupt that behavior to incorporate a more positive habit? A very tiny piece of a new habit. Maybe I get home because I already have that behavior momentum going, right? So why don't I just add something in the middle of that loop? I'm kind of going very behaviorism with this, but let's go with the task. So there's something called a task analysis in behaviorism, in behavior analysis. And a task analysis is a very step-by-step broken down path of how to implement a new behavior. Okay, so you get home, then add something new, and then go watch your TV. So it's kind of like habit stacking, like incorporating a new habit in something that you already do.
Just to break the cycle a bit. Shake your brain up a bit.
A little bit. And if you're having a really hard time with it, like literally set a timer, right? If you're like, for example, if you're like, I really, 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 really want to start a business, but I'm having such a hard time starting a business. Like I just can't get myself to do it. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Or if you're like, I really, really, really want to start a fitness routine. I really want to start going to the gym, but I don't know what to do. Right? So you can literally set a 5-minute timer on your phone, open up your computer, and then go on ChatGPT, how to start working out. And it's going to tell you, it's going to answer your question for you. Or look it up on Google. Just be like, how to start a business. And within that 5 minutes, you're already going to get so ahead, and so like you're going to get so ahead anyways.
Yeah, but you're disrupting the cycle, and then you're putting your focus and energy towards something else rather than the normal stuff that you're doing.
Exactly.
I think that's really cool because I'm reading Joe Dispenza now. Have you ever read Joe Dispenza's work?
I have, yeah.
The one thing that I took away recently from his book was, if we're living the same day over and over and over, he goes, there's no way you're going to create anything new. And when I look back at that, it's so prominent. When you're living the same day over and over, you're having the same thoughts over and over, you're having the same conversations over and over, and we scratch our heads wondering, why isn't anything Well, it's like nothing in your day has changed. There's been no disruption, like you were saying, to even open the door for a new thought, a new idea, some new energy. So for me, I do this all the time now. Is midweek, let's go do a co-working session in the city. For me, entrepreneurship is very important. So if I'm living the same day over and over and over, not making any strides in that, I will disrupt that and say, put me in the energy of some other entrepreneurs, of some other people that are doing what I want to do. So let's say for someone who's doing, or they want to eat healthier. Yeah. They want to get that more confidence in their body, and they know that stems from losing a little bit more weight, feeling healthier, and feeling more energized. Number one, don't eat the same foods every day. Spice it up. Yeah. Number two, go out to different restaurants. Don't go to the same spots every time. Number three, go hang out with friends that value nutrition, because the friends that you're currently with are probably saying, let's go get wine drunk, have some cheese, have some Cheetos. And that disruption will move you to a different energy, will move you to a different power, right?
Correct. Exactly. That's exactly it. You just need to change up the routine, change up the behaviors, right? Because our mind and our body are absolutely intertwined, right? So some people say, oh, you need to change your belief system. First, you need to believe you can be healthy. First, you need to believe you can be your dream weight, blah, blah, blah. That's exhausting. That's a lot of work to get yourself to believe that you're 20 pounds lighter, or you get yourself to believe you have that physique. Like that's going to take a long ass time, right?
Sure.
Right. But why don't we just change our behaviors instead? Because our behaviors are already going to change our mind, right? So you can go either way. That's the thing. That's the thing people don't really see, is that people think that we have to start with the mind. We have to start with the belief system, which, yeah, of course. But you can also just start with the behaviors and what you do in your day to day. And that is behavior analysis. That is behaviorism as a whole. It's saying that we could change our lives without needing to change our minds first.
It's bi-directional.
Exactly.
Huge. Oh, okay. You're getting me a little excited about this topic now, because a lot of the times people won't disrupt their cycle, or they won't make change because it's very scary. It's unknown. So how can people not be so scared into making that change or disrupting something with something unfamiliar?
Well, first, knowing that the reason you're so scared to change is based on your ego, right? Your ego is here to keep you safe, keep you grounded. Your ego doesn't want you to get attacked. It doesn't want you to get eaten by an animal, right? So our ego and our like monkey mind is very much living thousands of years in the past, right? Whenever we didn't have homes, we didn't have shelters, we didn't have grocery stores, right? We were very much in a fight or flight mode already. So that's what you should first be aware of. Like, you're scared. The reason why your brain is so petrified of this thing, the reason why you're feeling so much anxiety about this thing, is because your brain is in this fight or flight state that really doesn't make any sense in the moment. Like, it's really outdated. Like, anxiety is very outdated in our brains. Like, we have not caught up to our current state, which is why we have so much anxiety going around right now, because it shouldn't be here, but we're late, which is fine. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So let me ask you about this topic about desensitization then, because I know this was something really, have you ever heard that term before? Desensitization? So I'll give you the perfect example. Whenever I want to make a new change in my life, especially in an area that's very unfamiliar and unknown, I know that through desensitization, the more times I do it, the less it's going to trip me up.
Yeah.
I give a perfect example to all my guys out there right now. Talking to women, cold outreach, horrifying. Okay? Horrifying. I used to make like just a pit in my stomach. But over the years, going to networking events, just going out and about, I've made an effort with me and my friends to be like, let's just go out and have those conversations, because the more times you do it, the less scary it's going to be. So now we can go into a conversation going like, this girl might reject me, but whatever, it's fine. I'm so desensitized to that outcome that I don't need that validation, or I've done it so many times where it's just what I do. It's rooted in me to just go and have that conversation in a very open, regular way. So just putting yourself in the scenario or wherever you want to go much more frequently, as uncomfortable as it may be in the situation or at the beginning, keep doing that. You can start small. It doesn't have to be like a full-blown shebang. Let's say for the gym, you're very scared about going to the gym. You don't have enough confidence, your self-concept to go into the gym and lift some weights. How about the first day you just go and like sit in the parking lot? Showed up, you're at the gym. That's different. You disrupted the pattern. Next day, go in, walk around. Just go look around. You're in the gym. And what you're doing slowly over time subconsciously is you're familiarizing your body and your mind with the environment, with the behaviors, with the mindset of somebody that does go to the gym. And then over time, you're like, oh, I'm here. I'm just here, right?
Exactly. It's behavior analysis, right? Exactly what you're talking about is, if we're having trouble engaging in a behavior, if we're having trouble going to the gym, right? The more times you do it, the consequence of that behavior is going to change in your mind. Because we think, if I go to the gym, then this and this and this is going to happen, like all these negative things, right? But if you do something enough times, then the outcome in your mind will have to change as a result, because you're just rewiring your perception of this whole situation.
I love that. Now, Alicia, let's wrap up with one final piece of advice here. If you're going to leave listeners with one nugget to take away from today towards putting one action step into place to developing their self-concept, where should they start? What should they do? What would you tell past Alicia if she was listening right now?
Figure out your values and take steps towards it every single day with no exceptions. Every single day, figure out your top 3, your top 5, and then make sure you strive towards those. Figure out your dreams and take steps towards those every single day. If you don't know what to do, ask Google, right? It's not a big scary thing. Is the biggest piece. Like action kills anxiety.
Yeah.
Right. So whenever you take action towards something, you're not going to be as scared towards it. Right. But the first leap is exhausting. Yeah.
But you live in alignment with your values, and slowly over time, you just step into the life that you wanted.
Easy. And then whenever you get the life that you want, everything is beautiful. It's sunshine and rainbows.
That is what I love it. Let's end the episode there on a bang. Alicia, where can listeners connect with you after today, where they want to go learn more, just hear what you have to say, because you got some great content? Where can we send them?
Yeah, absolutely. Growth for Girlies on Instagram, on TikTok. There's also growthforgirlies.com for coaching. And if you want to build a self-concept plan with me, sit with me for 60 minutes and get your life together, we can do that as well. You can find that on my website. And if you want some overnight affirmations, I got you. Growth for Girlies on YouTube as well.
Beautiful. We're going to link everything Alicia just said in the show notes. You can have a click over there, listeners. Check out her stuff. She's phenomenal. She truly lives by her philosophies. And we got to hear her insights today in the show. So Alicia, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.